welcome back, Big Orange fans. Spring practice is almost upon us,
Mm-hmm.
and we've been breaking down the position groups, what to look for. Obviously, some of these guys are always going to be banged up, if not before the first day of practice, by the second day of practice. Um, but we've only got a couple more to look at, Bob. But let's talk about the offensive line to start with. We have lost a ton of production, so many snaps on the offensive line that honestly at times disappointed anyway. A lot of newcomers, a lot of young kids. Time to step up. But we'd be remiss not to start off, but just listing what we lost, which was so much.
Yeah, as far as snaps go, we lost a tremendous amount. You know, you lose Cooper Mays, uh, Carrick,
You know, lost his appeal,
right?
that 6 year.
We thought that was a possibility he could get that, but he didn't. Javante Spraggins and Campbell and Dane Davis. So you lost a guys a lot of experience.
Mm-hmm.
Now I will say, looking at what we've got coming in, I think we're at the talent level. It's really good, but man, we did lose a lot of guys who had a lot of snaps there.
Yeah.
And I wonder early on in the year, this position group, Tim, to me, when you start looking at okay, what groups am I going to be focusing the most on come spring practice? I think for me, it's offensive line, probably wide receivers, probably the two groups I'm probably going to watch more than any other.
I think you're 100% right, Bob. I mean, you look what we have come back. We have one starter coming back um, who's really was disappointed last year between being out of shape and then banged up a little bit.
Right.
We're hoping we've not seen the best of Lance Hurd.
I think being in shape will make the biggest difference for him, which is an easy fix. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's got a year now. He knows what he's up against. I don't think he realized just how quick his offense moved.
He
found it out.
struggled, it seemed like, and he done better, seemed like when he had some rest. So it seemed like the pace of play really got him. If he could lose about 10, 15 pounds, I think that the kid could make a huge jump, you know, and he was really big for a left tackle anyway. So I really wonders, you know, sometimes people wonder if this guy could slide to right tackle. And we'll see what he does, but I do expect a pretty good jump from him. Now the tackles in general, Tim, when you're talking to tackles, I love the
potential in that group.
potential. I mean, honestly, I think we have the deepest tackle I think we've seen in a very long time.
Yeah. The problem is so much of it's young and still in the learning stage. Offensive line is that air quote developmental position everyone talks about, and as a group, there's you need consistency. Is that the word I'm looking for? Chemistry. Chemistry is the word I'm looking for across that line, and they don't have a long time to develop it. It needs to start over this next month. But agreed. Going back to your tackle spot, Bob. Uh, who are we going to talk about next? I think we all know. We're going to talk about David Sanders.
David Sanders, right? I mean, the 5-star top offensive lineman in the country coming out of high school last year, a guy who a lot of people felt like was a plug and play kind of guy. And when I watched him, I could see why. For a guy his size, moved fantastic.
You know, he plays some linebacker also.
I watched that. I mean, I don't think he did a lot of that, but they played some tough competition, the team he played with. And a very talented group, too. Very talented. Maybe the most talented team in the country. And he is playing a little bit of middle linebacker for him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's crazy.
It didn't look out of position for
it.
tells
You
what being huge.
This guy is.
Yeah.
Big thing for him is gaining some weight, which I think he's done quite a bit of. But gaining weight, getting strength.
Strength, probably most of anything.
Yes.
The weight gain, he'll put on that freshman 20, 30 pounds.
The frame is there.
Yeah.
But just that strength will make a big determination on whether or not he's a big factor this year. I think a lot of people have it penciled in already, either at left or right. I'm not sure. To me, I would play him at left and get the more physical guy because Lance Hurd looks more like a right tackle to me anyway. um, and Sanders will come more like a left tackle. But we'll see who does what there.
Yeah,
But
I think long term that is what these guys are going to be. But they're going to be whoever can protect Nico's left blind side this year is who will be your left tackle probably.
but honestly, man, we've went through how many years have we looked at our roster and thought, man, I hope we can get a third tackle.
I like the competition for third tackle this year, though.
I do.
I don't dread the competition at third tackle.
I feel like somebody will emerge there. You got Larry Johnson, who's been there a little while, the JUCO transfer.
He's improved every year.
Every year.
Massive guy too.
Big old dude, yeah. Then you got Bent Warren, who was a high level prospect when we got him last year. Jesse Perry, who was probably
the lowest rated prospect on that offensive line, who probably the best guy we got.
May have been. I mean, that guy, I feel like, is, I don't know if it's going to be a tackle, if it's going to be a guard or center, but I almost feel like Perry's he's going to be like, if he ain't a starter, he's going to be like a sixth or seventh guy there. They love the potential of Jesse Perry.
Yeah, they're moving him around to find that open spot to slot him into. They absolutely love Jesse Perry. A couple of younger guys who I think talent level, I think is off the chart.
Right.
But just let's get into them. These are guys who really haven't played the offensive line position until they got to college.
Right.
So Bob, we'll start off with more of a local guy, Trevor Duncan, who's a defensive lineman coming out of high school.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people said he had a very high ceiling on the offensive line. They just needed to convince him he was an offensive lineman. And he come in, and when he got switched over last year to offensive line, people wondered whether or not he was going to take to the position and work hard. All indications was that he embraced it and jumped into that. So it will be interesting to see what come of that. And maybe a guy who is talent-wise, I've seen an expert say that they felt like Jeremiah Hurd had 5-star type talent.
Well, he's got the frame you look for. Extremely tall, athletic, little slender, more slender than what you wanted.
Right.
Not uncommon. These two guys, when you talk about that quote development, two guys that need it. So I don't expect much anything out of them this year compared to the guys in front of them.
Yeah.
But going forward, when we've got some people leaving this room, I could definitely see these guys sliding in and playing at a high level at some point in their careers.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't see how we keep that many guys happy. Somebody has to transfer.
In this day and age, somebody will transfer.
But we got the most talented tackle, the deepest and most talented group I think I've seen down there in a very long time. I just hope it translates into good play this year. But with so many guys, I feel like we improved this year at that position.
Yeah, that's the best looking tackle group I've seen down on the hill in many years from a potential perspective. But Bob, we've got to replace a lot of snaps, a lot of production, realized potential at the center spot. All eyes are going to be on who replaced Cooper Mays this year.
And it may be the most critical spot because of the I think it's as much as anything, it's our pace of play. That center is usually, you always say is the quarterback of the offensive line. They make the calls a lot of times. They get people in the right position, hopefully. But losing Cooper Mays, as much as the mental aspect of it, is the biggest loss as far as that goes to me.
Bob, this staff has struggled over the last 2 or 3 years to find a backup center for Mays when he's been hurt. And now they don't have a choice. They have to find someone, but we've got, I would say, almost half a dozen potential prospects, legitimate prospects. Right. But let's start out with guys who probably are center related.
Yeah.
A lot of interchangeability in some of these guys, but William Satterwhite is the name that's generally first mentioned. Looks like he'll probably start out there at that spot. But he's going to have some competition. Max Anderson coming in with him at the same time.
Right.
Both the young guys. And the aforementioned Jesse Perry, who's getting some looks at center also. Uh, of those three, is there one that or something that stands out that you feel real good about?
Well, I don't know if one thing stands out or not, but Satterwhite, somebody, as soon as they saw him, and they was like, okay, this guy's a center. He looks great. They love his potential. And like I mentioned with Perry, it's like I feel like the way they're talking, this guy's too good to be sitting on the bench. We need to find a place for him. Uh, you know, I don't know about Anderson. I think he's probably the third guy in that bunch, probably. And then you've got a couple other guys who can play that spot too, but we'll talk about that when we get to the guard spot.
Yeah. Well, I would mention one other thing. One of our freshmen coming in,
Yeah.
and I do not expect freshmen to play. I'll be honest about it for the most part. But Nick Moore, probably from Jefferson County, nearby Jefferson County, was recruited with the center spot in mind. Um, I think long term that could be your center down the road, but
Yeah.
we're talking 2025. I don't really expect him to see much of anything on the field.
I agree. I think he was a smart kid, which is something they, value that spot. Uh, they really like him at the center spot, like you said, and that might be a guy like a Cooper Mays who could be a 2-3 year starter at that position down the road.
Yeah. Let's jump into our guards, Bob. Two newcomers, right off the bat, um, are expected to handle the guard spots. With the potential, if we have a situation at center, both of them aren't capable of playing center. So you might see some interchangeability. If one of them has to slide into center, you're going to see someone else slide into the guard spot
Yeah.
opposite them. But since that's not here right now, let's talk about the two newcomers to begin with. William Moy,
Right.
and Sam Pendleton.
Yeah. Moy, who I think is going to be a starter at somewhere, um, either at center or guard. Uh, he had some really good numbers there at Arizona, I believe it was. And, Sam Pendleton, who played at Notre Dame, started some for him as a very young offensive lineman.
I think redshirt freshman had several starts.
Right. And Notre Dame, had a very good offensive line.
Yeah, they did.
So Pendleton and Moy, I feel like probably starters on this offensive line. I guess for me, I wonder where. I almost feel like, and I could be wrong here. This is going to be something I will watch come spring practice. Be very interesting to see where everybody starts. I almost feel like Moy might be or Pendleton, either one is a starting center, and the other one is as a guard, and somebody like a Jesse Perry or a Numeroff or a Gage Ganther or Aiden Bussell. One of them guys might get that other guard spot. But it's going to be really interesting because
we've got a lot of interchangeable pieces. I love, I mean, you look at Sham Umaroff to start off. Okay?
Right.
I mean, you look at this guy, he looks like somebody wrestling for the WWE.
Yeah, big guy. Yeah, and he holds that weight very well, man.
Yeah, I think he potentially could be a right tackle. If I was a coach, I would look at that.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, I'm not down there to see how he's sliding, doing little things.
For a guy that's about 320, 330, he moves really well.
Yeah.
I mean, I just have a hard time feeling like this guy doesn't make a move at some point. I mean, he just moves too well for a guy that size.
Yeah. And I think we were all excited about Gage Ganther coming in last year, too.
Yeah.
Another guy, in my opinion, though, is probably, needs a little bit more development still.
Right. That's the key to this offensive line to me. The talent is very high, I feel like. I think overall, on the offensive line, we have a very talented offensive line. Problem is, most of that talent are freshmen and sophomores, first and second year players. And like you said, offensive line, if any of you people have ever watched football and paid attention to how this stuff progresses, young guys just usually don't get it because it's just it is a developmental position. It's a lot about strength.
Strength, and it's really a thinking man's position.
It is. I mean,
Chemistry is so important. You have to know your position, and you got to know the people around you. You have to know the defense, where they at, how's that going to affect the way you're blocking. There's so many people pulling. You've got to take your guy this way. It's a lot going on from a technique point of view.
probably as far as needing intelligence and quick thinking, top three position on a football team, in my opinion. Right there with probably a quarterback and
Kicker.
no, not kicker. I think tight end's another position that is.
I think particularly in this offense, when we're moving our guys out almost to the hash marks, all the way in, and sometimes into the backfield and everything else.
You got to learn to be not learn two positions when you're tight end. You got to learn how to be an offensive lineman and a wide receiver.
Yeah, and maybe a running back and a fullback involved too.
But yeah, it's a thinking man's game anymore at the offensive line. It's not like it is a lot of times in high school where they line up and get the guy somebody in front of you.
Yeah, they're 60 pounds lighter than you. You just go shove them over there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big step up.
It is
to this level. Speaking of an offensive lineman from high school going into this level, I would like to mention one other guy that I really like long term that we picked up this year, Anthony Agamuro.
Yeah, he's a guy that you really do like. I remember
when I looked at his film, I was very impressed coming off his junior film.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I don't remember if he was a Polynesian or a Micronesian. Bottom line is, generally, if you're out of that section of the world,
right,
and you're a lineman on either side of the ball, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I don't know if you want to call that, somewhat racist or something. I don't know, but I do know that
whatever it is, man, it seems to be accurate.
The Polynesians are the most highly represented group in the NFL. As far as their population goes.
Yeah. And it seems like those guys, there's two things you can always count on. There seem to be strong and effort.
Yeah.
I mean, they
kind of got a Main Street, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but they're very family oriented. And I don't know if they just look at it like, hey, this line is my family and you're attacking my family. I'm going to rip your head off. But
right.
I like a wrestler or a shot putter in the lines of scrimmage. I love my Polynesian.
Right.
I'm gonna give them every shot in the world to succeed.
Yeah.
But Bob, that's really wrapping that group up. It's going to be one of definitely the most watched positions on this team in spring practice and going into fall.
Yeah, and it's a position that has a lot of guys who. There could be a lot of movement there. So I'll definitely be paying attention to off the line and seeing what comes out, going in the fall ball. I guess if that is probably one of the biggest keys to this football team going forward this season.
It is. So, guys, we do appreciate you joining us for this today. Give us a like if you're here, too, and give us a subscription button if you haven't yet done that.
Right.
That's greatly appreciated, Bob. I like you always like to say it costs you nothing.
Right.
It means a lot to us. So at that point, Bob, I guess it's just going to be going.
Go Vols.